Whether hulking towers, sleek all-in-ones, or space-saving mini PCs, today's desktops pack neater designs and more value than ever. Check out our recent favorites, along with some in-depth shopping advice and deep dive reviews. Modularity, though, is the key common theme of the Nuke 9 Extreme. The two-part kit consists of the chassis, which holds the internal power supply and the baseboard logic board, as well as the unique compute element. The latter is the brains of the operation, connecting to the baseboard via a proprietary, PCI Express-like connector. Essentially a mini motherboard that looks a lot like a chunky graphics card, the compute element holds the CPU, 2 laptop-style SO-DIMM memory slots, and 2 M.2 storage drive slots. The CPU is soldered to the board, so upgrading it means buying a new compute element. The compute element in our review model is Nuke 9 i9QNB, featuring a Core i9-9980HK processor. The 8-core, 16-thread chip is Intel's flagship mobile H-series CPU that would typically see duty in high-performance notebooks. A 45-watt thermal rating constrains its base clock to 2.4 GHz, but this powerhouse can reach 5 GHz in turbo boost mode, and the K suffix on the chip means it can be overclocked, via Intel's Extreme Tuning Utility software, to reach even higher. Apart from the skulls printed on its mesh sides, the Nuke 9 Extreme isn't an attention getter. Some might not even realize it's a computer given its diminutive dimensions. It has no dedicated lighting features, only the illuminated power button indicates it's turned on. Design-wise, this Nuke's only functional shortcoming is that it can only be oriented upright, as in the photos. Laying it on its side would impede airflow. If you're a gamer, we suggest the HP Omen Obelisk. It's fast with an 8-core processor and 32 GB of RAM that can handle multiple tasks at once. But what makes it an ideal gaming computer is its powerful graphics card. It combines speed, hyper-realistic graphics, and power that simply make fighting foes or exploring fantasy worlds downright fantastic. It's virtual reality ready, too. When more and better VR games are released, you won't have to buy a different computer in order to enjoy them if you already have the HP Omen Obelisk at home. It even has built-in software that will enable you to prioritize gaming. Aside from power and speed, what makes the HP Omen Obelisk a good choice for your home desktop computer is the fact that it's highly customizable. You can upgrade components as your computing demands change. This desktop computer comes packed with a host of connectivity features, complete with several USB, HDMI, and audio ports, among others. It does not come with a display, headset, keyboard, or mouse. Again, desktops offer a lot for people needing a simple computer with enough power and storage space for their work documents and files. However, for gamers, they need a high-powered computer with a strong processor, lots of storage space, and an impressive graphics card. If you're looking for a computer that offers all of this, then the Corsair One i164 is the desktop for you. There are plenty of reasons why the Corsair One i164 is the best gaming computer on the market. For starters, it's beautifully designed with a sleek, black shell and blue-green lit highlights. Apart from its nice-looking design, this computer comes with the top-of-the-line Intel Core i9-9900K quad-core CPU. The graphics card in this bad boy is even more amazing, being the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 Ti. This will make your gaming experience more enjoyable. Also, for video editors, graphic designers, and other creative folks, the graphics inside this desktop will help you bring your stunning art to life. The RAM and storage are plentiful as well. The base model holds up to 2 TB of storage, so you can store plenty of games and other programs on this computer. In terms of the physical design, very little has changed from the original Surface Studio, which was innovative when it launched and remains so. Microsoft has again opted to store all the components in the base, rather than behind the 28-inch display, allowing for an extremely thin display panel. No doubt, some of the visual inspiration is from the Apple iMac, but the difference is in the emphasis on touch input, and that is reflected in the rear hinge. 2 middle arms extend from the base to hold up the screen, meeting in the middle at a hinge that allows you to use the screen vertically or flex it down horizontally. It's a simple idea, but essential in making the Studio a unique, elegant touchscreen desktop solution. On a more general level, it's this combination of a speedy desktop and a giant, pen-equipped slate that makes the Surface Studio line so appealing. The display shape and resolution also cater toward that demographic. As on the original, the screen has an unusual, near square 3:2 aspect ratio, rather than the much more common 16:9 widescreen ratio you'll find on almost every modern laptop and monitor. With a 3:2 ratio, the on-screen image better mirrors physical work in a digital space for things like print publications, which helps some artists create or translate their work. It also affords more space in the margins for editing palettes and toolbars, if you're working with media on screen that is in the more common 16:9. The Surface Studio 2's display is stunning, with a super crisp, bold picture when set on the default vivid color profile. It's extremely bright on the maximum setting, as well, and of course features 10-point multi-touch. You can flip from the vivid profile to the DCI P3 or sRGB color gamuts in the Windows 10 settings, which could prove essential to some artists and designers who need to work in one or the other for different projects. Apple's super slim iMac has remained largely unchanged on the outside since 2012, available only in a silver color scheme. For the iMac Pro, Apple dresses up the physical enclosure with a space gray scheme very similar to the one it offers on MacBooks and iPhones. The difference is immediately apparent, especially when you line up the two all-in-one side by side. The iMac Pro just looks more professional, almost as if there is a linear correlation between the darkness of the enclosure and the seriousness of the computer as a tool for accomplishing creative tasks. In contrast to the paint on the metal, the colors on the iMac Pro's 5120 by 2,880 display are incredibly vibrant, which is due in part to the maximum brightness of 500 nits and in part to the wide P3 color gamut. Apart from the space gray color scheme, this 5K Retina display, the same as on the iMac, is the most visually striking part of the computer. As we found when we reviewed the latest iMac, at full brightness the display is almost painfully luminous, and you'll likely adjust it downward unless you're in a fluorescent lit room. The edges of the chassis are less than 0.2 inch thick, which makes the all-in-one look incredibly svelte but also means that all the ports are relegated to the back. It's a slight inconvenience, but nowhere near as cumbersome as the ports hidden behind the stand on the competing Dell Precision 5720. There's a 1080p HD webcam above the screen, and a total of 4 microphones to capture audio. Networking options include 802.11 acres Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.2, and a 10 GB per second Ethernet port. One of the more unique minor features on the iMac Pro is its single 10 GB per second Ethernet port, a first on a Mac. This is a markedly different networking approach than the one Apple uses on the Mac Pro, which has a more conventional dual gigabit Ethernet setup. The Ethernet port on the iMac Pro can automatically switch between 1 GB per second, 2.5 GB per second, 5 GB per second, or 10 GB per second, based on the capabilities of your network infrastructure.